Hi, I'm Deborah, and this is Elevated Energy, where I help you expand and infuse spirituality into every aspect of your life so that you can heal, grow, and glow and live a happier, more fulfilled, more joyful, and loving life. Have you been looking for the one thing that you hope will transform your life and change everything? Well, I'm here to let you know that there is no such thing. And specifically, I want to talk about my experience with plant medicine. I have a great deal of experience with it. I had a few family members die in a short period of time. My mom passed of cancer. Then it was about 2 years later, my brother developed the same cancer. And I was his caregiver for almost 2 years. And he passed away. And then 3 months later, my dad died, something different. And I knew I wasn't happy in my life. I used to use this phrase, I'd like to burn it all down and start over again. Don't do that, by the way. Sometimes that's what's necessary, and that is what I ended up doing to some degree. But it doesn't have to be that dramatic. But for me, I wanted out. And what I experienced was my brother was sick, and we spent a lot of time watching Graham Hancock videos. And if you don't know Graham Hancock, he's this writer and researcher, and he was really, a lot of the videos that we watched, and I've actually still never read a Graham Hancock book, but we watched a lot of videos, and it was about the shared visions of people who drank ayahuasca. And I knew about ayahuasca, and it was like one of those things, eventually, maybe I'll try. But it wasn't super high on my list. But at that time, while I was caring for my brother, he talked about how he really wanted to drink ayahuasca, that when he got better, he wanted to go to the jungle and drink it. And at first I was like, and I knew about it because I had met someone who was who had lived with some native people and was a guide, an ayahuasca guide. And upon first learning about it, I was like, how could this one thing make such a big difference? Why this thing? But as I learned more, I became more intrigued, and I was like, okay, this seems big. This seems different. So I ended up arranging to go on a 1-week retreat to Peru, where I had 4 ayahuasca ceremonies in a week, as well as many of the other traditional practices, flower baths, rapé, vomitivos, where you are made to vomit to cleanse yourself, just all different kinds of practices. And so I cleared my schedule. I was married at the time. My husband didn't want to come, which was, I think, destiny. He had no interest in any of it. And so I went and drank ayahuasca for a week, and it changed my life, like, instantly. Because after the first ceremony, it was clear to me that magic is real. I ended up getting it tattooed on my arm. Magic is real. That all the things that I had thought about, I've been searching and seeking to connect with things outside this dimension, but things that are not seen, they're all real. And I experienced it. as plain as day, unquestionable. I could see things with my eyes open that I didn't realize were so real. And after that experience was so profound for me. It was a series of ceremonies, but after that, I knew that I didn't really want to continue the life that I was living the way I was living it. I had a career, had been in the same job for 13 years. I was quite great at it, very successful in that area. But I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled by it. And I had, at the time, I'd been married for 5 years to a really nice guy. But as my dad would have said, the Pentecostal minister, always talking about this, he would have said we were unequally yoked, right? We were not on the same page. He wasn't spiritual at all. And so he couldn't really relate to my yearnings, my desires for something more. He had no interest in exploring it. We just came from different worlds. He was a great person, but we just really didn't connect in the deeper, meaningful ways that I needed. And so after drinking ayahuasca for that first week, I knew that I had to shake up my life. And, what I called it in retrospect was quitting my life. I quit my life. It was about 4 months after I drank ayahuasca the first time, I told my then husband that I wanted a divorce. And I remember back at the time I was worried. I was like, how is this going to go? He's such a nice guy. And I had let him know that I wasn't happy. I asked to go to therapy, offered to pay for his therapy, for hypnosis, for anything, because I really wanted it to work, but it wasn't working. And I remember asking the spirits at the time in a ceremony, I said, I don't understand, how do we do this? How do we separate everything and separate our lives? My family loved him. I was like, how is this going to happen? It just seems like so much work. I don't know. And they showed me an image of a house being taken apart nail by nail, board by board. And the message was, it can be taken apart just like it was put together. And they told me that it would be easy. And I still didn't know, but I mustered up the strength to go to my then husband and tell him that I wanted a divorce. And it was the easiest thing. I couldn't, from the day I told him to the day we got divorced, it was 3 weeks, completely uncontested, no divorce lawyers and no crazy lawyer fees or anything. We just agreed to part ways. Now, granted, I think he held a lot in. He didn't let on how much it hurt him. And I understand that. But I then chose to give 3 months notice at my job because I'd been there so long, and quit my job. I had a house in Florida, arranged to sell the house, and I moved to Peru to study plant medicine. So I really shook up my life so that I could experience more of the magic that I had in that first ayahuasca ceremony and all the ones that followed. And so I spent a lot of time working with many of the plants of the jungle, as well as I did spend time in the Andes, so I worked with wachuma as well, harvesting it, cooking it. So I had all those experiences, and what I said at the time is that I dedicated my life to ayahuasca. Ayahuasca opened the door for all of this for me, and I love ayahuasca. But what I've learned after years of study with plant medicine is that it isn't the answer. Yeah, there's no single thing that's going to change everything and just make everything better. No matter where you are in your life and what you're going through, no matter what medicines, earth medicines you have the privilege of working with, it will not absolve you of the responsibility of working on yourself. No amount of plant medicine or earth medicines can take the place of the inner work that you must do. And in fact, if you embark on working with plant medicines, animal medicines, that's why I say earth medicine, because I'm certainly including animal medicines in there as well, like Kambo or Bufo. If you embark on a path to work with those things, you must know that that is not going to solve all your problems. People think that it will, but it will not. In fact, if you are not in a place where you are really approaching it from a sacred space, from a ceremonial space, at least this is my perspective, you run the risk of these medicines throwing your life into chaos. Because when you ingest these medicines, you open a portal, you gain access to other perspectives, other information, other knowledge, and other wisdom. But if you are not centered, if you are not ready to handle it, if you don't know how to handle it and how to work with it, it can just throw your life into chaos. And it kind of did for me at first, right? Because I drank ayahuasca. I'm like, I quit my life, quitting my job, selling my house, getting a divorce. I did all of that within 6 months of drinking ayahuasca for the first time. It was all the right things to do. I don't regret a moment of it. But man, it was intense. It was intense. And I didn't mind the intensity, but it's not for everyone. You better be committed. I was all in. I was like, I'm going for this ride, and I don't care where it takes me, because I know that I can feel the truth of this. But I just want to tell you, because I know a lot of people are considering working with medicines or are working with them. And it's not enough to just like eat a mushroom, drink some ayahuasca, have some bufo. Like that's not going to fix your problems. You may experience because the medicines have such a high vibration. I hope that you experience like the bliss, the positivity, the transcendence, the access to other realms and beings that can assist you. I hope you experience all of that. But then you come back and there is still plenty of personal work to do. So I just want to encourage you to not stop there. I think plant medicines and earth medicines are a wonderful gateway to other dimensions. They can help us to access things that are much harder to access without them. Like maybe you're not going to spend 20 years meditating in a monastery. So working with one of these medicines can help you to access some energies and wisdoms that would be difficult for you on your own. And that's wonderful. But don't make the mistake of thinking that you just do that and go about your business. There's plenty of work to be done outside of that. And to be honest, that's where I found my biggest spiritual growth is outside of the plant medicine world and just doing true, like pure spiritual work. Because, it's all accessing the same things. It's just what you have available to you the ease of availability is different if you're working with plant medicine versus not, unless you really do a lot of work and training, and you can access those realms without taking anything, for sure. So yeah, I think this is just I'm sharing my reflections and my experience to just caution anyone who thinks that plant medicine is going to be the thing that fixes their life, because it's not. It will not be. You've really got to be prepared to do some more spiritual work. And in my case, I've explored and investigated and drawn on many traditions in order to be able to find what I need. The tools, the modalities, the perspectives that can help me to incorporate what I might learn when I'm in in connection to these other dimensions, but then apply it to my life in a meaningful, sustainable way that actually makes my life better, makes me healthier, makes me stronger, and allows me to shine my light even brighter. So no matter what it is, there is no one thing. So I just wanted to share that. I've been on this journey for a long time, and you can't avoid the inner work. And the plant medicine can certainly help us, but it's not going to fix everything. And really what it did for me was show me how much more I have to heal, how much more there is to work on. And so that's what I've been doing. So that's what I wanted to share with you today, that there's no one thing that's going to fix you and make everything perfect. You must put in the work, but you're not alone. You have support. You've got support in the physical world right here from me, but also perhaps I hope you are lucky enough to have family and friends, but not everybody does. But you've definitely got spiritual help if you choose to acknowledge it and work with it and open that connection and that communication. So if you feel so while there isn't any one thing that's going to fix everything, thankfully we've got a plethora of things that can help us. And I would love to hear what practices, what modalities, what perspectives have helped you. Certainly meditation is one of the things that is definitely, it's a practice that is absolutely essential to my spiritual life and to mental calm and to growth. Journaling is another, but I'd love to hear what practices you use that are helping you to heal and to grow.